Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Surge with day 2 of Firestorm Reveals. Before we get into things, there are a few other things I want to talk about because now that Firestorm Reveals have started, the Collect site has been updated. So let's talk about a few things over there before we really get started. Oops, sorry, black screen. That's the wrong one. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so this is the Firestorm Collect page. Let's go over a few things. So first up, the set is 125 cards with the Majorsa box topper being 122 and the carry-off box topper being 125. These full arts, these box topper full arts look so nice, by the way. I really love these full arts. Big fan. That is, if we compare to Moonrise here, that is 7 cards larger. Now, I am going to assume that probably around 25 to 30 slots were spent on, are being spent on the full arts, the Hollow Spirits, and the box toppers. Because in Moonrise, it was what, 6, 10, 14, 18, 22. Yeah, it was 25 on the dot in Moonrise. I'm giving some leeway for like the 4th box topper and for the 4th box topper and for a possible increase in full art count again, because that has happened every set. I'm not sure it'll keep happening, but it could happen again. I think the 3, 7, 11, 14 count is good, as long as we're not spending 4 on the box toppers again. I really hope we don't do that again. That's the one thing I'm really hoping with the full arts this set. I really hope we don't do that again. But with that assumption, then we can assume that we can probably guess that the functional cards will go up to 95 to 100. Somewhere around here is where the functional cards will end. So that gives us some information. So first, as always, the first 8 slots are going to be spirits, and the first element in the elemental order is Earth. So these first cards are going to be Earth. Now remember, it is very standard for the cover card of an element. This is the first time it's been across multiple elements, but we can probably assume the same logic, that the big cover cards will be the start of their elements collection number. So Majorsa is probably one of the very first fire cards in the set. Let's look at, so the Majorsa is a weird case because it doesn't have a true full ascension line. But if we look at Frostfall, the 1-cost bears came before Glaciersa. And if we look at base set, I'm pretty sure we'll find the same thing true there. Yeah, the three 1-cost bears come before Majorsa. So we can assume the same thing there. We've only seen one of the bears, but there might be another champion of Hestia bear. I kind of hope there is, because Earth Scout really wants there to be another champion of Hestia bear for it to be good. So we can assume fire starts around number 19. That means that Earth is getting a whole 10 slots, and we will probably see numbers like that across the board, because now that we are no longer introducing an element, we are probably going to have a much more even split of how the cards are distributed among the elements. Now there's also the possibility that all the Champion of Hestia cards, all the 1-cost and 2-cost Champion of Hestia cards will be before Majorsa. And if that's the case with just the ones in the star deck, that means Earth ends around 16. But that's still 8 cards. That's still a good place to be. And that makes me really excited. I wouldn't even be surprised if the elements that are getting focused, so fire and wind, don't get that many more cards than the other elements. Say 12 to 15 instead of 8 to 10. And that more balance between the elements is one of the things I've been really excited for going into this set, because it's been really annoying how little some elements get in the past few sets, and now we are finally past that, and I'm really excited. On another note, carry-off is down here at 49. It's not clear at this stage if carry-off is being counted as a as a wind or lunar in where it goes in the collection numbering. But I would assume wind based on where it is, because like there's what, like only 28 separation between carry off and wind, and there is a significant separation between carry off and the first runes that we see. So very likely this is being counted as wind. Now let's get to the runes. So Hestia is the first one we see at number 75. In previous sets, divines have always come first in the collection numbering. So all the other fire runes will be after Hestia. All the other wind runes will be after Hermes, for example. So how much space is there between Hestia and Hermes? Hermes is all the way down at 86, which means there are 10 slots in between Hestia and Hermes. Now, the elemental order is Earth, Fire, Water, Thunder, Wind, Frost, Solar, Lunar. So in between Hestia and Hermes is all the rest of the fire runes, but also the water and thunder runes, which are the other two elements that are getting this champion focus in this set. So we know of at least 4 runes that will be going in those slots, because we have the Torch of Hestia, Hestia's Hearth, we have Poseidon's Fury, and we have Zeus's Call. I imagine that the Zeus and Poseidon reprints with new art, and we saw new art of Zeus and Poseidon in demo decks that went out a bit ago. So we are assuming that those new arts are from this set. But it's probably safe to assume that those reprints are also in the base set, so that's 6 of the slots. But that's still 4 more slots for those elements, and like that let me remind you, like in Moonrise, like Moonrise isn't a good example because it had all the lunar phases. But like, for example, Daybreak, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, and then we get the lunar stuff. So 16 total runes, including the new element stuff, in the whole set. And most elements only got 1 rune. If we ignore the lunar phases, you will see a similar story play out in Moonrise. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then you add the lunar phases for 20. Not a ton. And this was one of my biggest problems with Elestrals set design previously, and something that made me really happy about the lunar phases is that like the rune stuff is like, runes are where you can, it was one of the areas where you can really start like giving decks more specialization, giving elements more specialization, and it's really difficult to do that if you're printing so few runes per set. But we are probably looking at 20 to 25 new runes in this set, pretty evenly distributed among the elements. So that's really cool. For Hermes, after Hermes, it's at 86. So like assuming the functional cards end in like 95, 96, that's 10 more cards after Hermes. 3 of those are Hermes related cards that we know about from the starter deck list. So we have the Catechus of Hermes, Hilaria of Hermes, and Hermes' Trickery. And then also Frost is in there, so we would also have Hibernation in there. But this is still a lot of new runes and probably pretty evenly distributed among the elements. Like probably every element getting like at least 2 new runes, which is really, really cool. That's super exciting. Very glad about that. Okay. That's everything we have to talk about on that end. So let's actually talk about the new cards now. Oh no, actually there was one more thing. We got the promo page for Divine Champions. So the whole block is getting 1 promo code thing. Unlike previously where it was per set, which is very nice to see. Very glad about that. But something very interesting that confirms something that I imagine most people were already suspecting. So Exaltair is number 9. That leaves exactly 8 slots before it, which are the number of different spirits there are. And Vipyro is number 2, Lycris is number 5. As we just went over, Fire is number 2 in the elemental order, and Lycris is number 5. So they have very clearly put these spirits in their exact slot in the elemental ordering, and left exactly 8 slots at the beginning of the promo codes. So yeah, I think it's a pretty safe assumption that throughout this block, each set this block will have 2 new blisters with stellar spirits, reverse stellar spirits of the 2 focus elements of that set. Very cool stuff. Very nice to see that basically confirmed there. So let's talk about the new cards that got revealed. It's a bunch of Hestia and Bears related cards. So first we have Torch of Hestia. Torch of Hestia is a new artifact rune. 66 because the count would go that high actually, yeah. Okay. Unless that actually matches up with the... Okay, actually let me check something real quick. I've got to check something real quick. Majursa gets... No, Hestia gets both prints shown, right? SDO 65. Okay, no, those numbers don't match. Okay, so it's just that the starter deck has so many cards in it. Okay. Oh, I think the starters are like merged together in their collection numbering. I think that's what's actually going on. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So the starter decks seem to be merged together into one joint collection code, instead of being separate ones for each starter deck now. So that's neat. But Torch of Hestia is a one fire cost artifact rune that gives the Empowered Elestral +2 attack. And when the Empowered Elestral declares an attack, you can foretell 3. If Hestia is enchanted, you may add a fire card foretold this way to your hand. So I like this card a lot. One of the biggest problems with artifact runes previously is that they are so expensive. They're so expensive. And we've had some one-cost artifact runes before, but they haven't buffed stats at all. So this is the first time we're seeing an artifact rune that costs 1 that buffs stats, which is very, very cool. Also, its effect is pretty good too. Like if you have Hestia, look top 3, grab any fire card. So that includes stuff like Don't Poke as well, because it can grab runes. Very cool. That's very nice. Like even if you're just getting that buff for 1 turn, like people pay 1 for a 3 stat buff or debuff with Zeus and Demeter all the time. So that's not too bad of a deal. It also allows Argo plays to potentially be a lot cheaper, because now you have like options that give you stat buffs and only cost you 3 spirits instead of 4. And if you're running, say, Torch of Hestia in a Hestia deck, that card lives to the next turn. You will now be able to benefit from Hestia's on attack ability, which is pretty good stuff. I like this card a lot. Like this is the first card I've seen that's gone, okay, this actually makes Hestia pretty appealing. And if we see similar stuff from the artifact runes for the artifact rune for Hermes or any other artifact runes we get in this set, that's really great. That's a really good direction to be going. However, I do think it is deeply funny that Fire finally gets a second artifact rune, and it only gets its full power when you have the new Fire Divine rune out. Rip Hephaestus. But we will be getting Champions of Hephaestus stuff there down the line for sure. And like when that happens, we can get some new artifact runes for that guy as well. So like it's fine, Hephaestus. You'll get your time. I'm sure. Then we have the normal art of Earth Scout, who we've gone over before. Here's the normal art. I think this card fundamentally has a problem in Hestia decks where you're paying 3 for a lackluster body and a search, and we've already seen with Aeolus that 2 for a search is not super worthwhile. It can be enough, but like it's not super great. And like so like in a Hestia deck mode of Earth Scout, I don't feel super good about. I think it's a lot more appealing if it's worthwhile in a bear deck. because bears can make up this, can deal with the stat line issue of Earth Scout, has tons of ways of buffing it up, and have more profitable ways to special cast it and get that special cast trigger. The problem is that if we look at the starter deck, the only bears with Champion of Hestia in here are Majorsa and Earth Scout. Now, there's the possibility that there are more Champion of Hestia cards, Champion of Hestia bears in the set, or in future sets, because each of the champions archetypes will probably be getting support throughout the whole block. So there will be many opportunities for us to get another Champions of Hestia bear, and if that starts happening, Earth Scout becomes a lot more appealing. Anyways, that's not new card. Let's talk about actually new cards. Here we have Earth Scout. I wasn't saying Earth Scout before. Earth Scout. Okay, words are hard for me. Earth Scout, Champion of Kion. So this is a deceptively powerful card. Also, this like completely confirms that that Carry On is in the wind, because this is number 58. But this is a deceptively powerful card, I think. So this is a 2/4 for 1 frost. You can target a face down rune. It cannot be played as long as this Earth Scout is enchanted. This effect can be activated 1 additional time on your turn if you also disenchant a frost from your Kion. So I'm gonna ignore that later part, because like we're not gonna get like enough of the Champion of Kion stuff in this set for that to be really worthwhile talking about here. We're going to focus in on that first part, and that first part is like on its like in the context of like bears, where you have a bunch of ways to buff up its stats and make it harder for your opponent to take out. That's a really nice effect. You're basically getting Brummelinks. You're getting Brummelinks with a no Nexus setup required. That's really good. Like Brummelinks is a pretty solid card. Its problems are that it's passive, something that bears can rectify with its ability to use Don't Poke to allow Earth Scout to get over any 5 in the game. And as far as I can tell, you can still apply this effect every turn. Like it chases out counter runes really nicely, which is something that bears are already pretty proficient at, because of the constant threat of Battle Step Don't Poke. But this does that even more. This card, I think this card is like a real sleeper pick. Like this card feels like something that people are not going to think too hard about, but feels pretty good, especially because it's in bears and it's inherently searchable. Like good stuff with this card. I think this card is super solid. Also, the art is super nice. Then we have our last card for today is Hibernation. This new rune for bears. It has the Ursa subclass, so you can search it with which one is it? Ursicle? Something like that. The frost bear that searches any bear on cast. So this is an invoke rune for 1 frost. This Hibernation can only be played if you control an Ursa Elestral bear. A target up to 2 fire or frost spirits in your underworld. Return them to your spirit deck or enchant them to your Ursa Den. If you do, draw a card. This card's incredible, and it's one of those very strong indications that the design team gets what they need to do to overcome good stuff. So, like, this is a very powerful card, and really utilizing the power of the cantrip to push a card over the edge, and like a really good reward for being in bears. Helps Ursa Den a ton, because it makes that playline so much less expensive. Like, you are likely going like cast Ursa Den, cast out a bear, enchant onto Ursa Den, then you can cast this Hibernation, paying off of Ursa Den. The one issue is you can't really do it turn 1 unless you like mulliganed. But and on any later turn, you're going to be able to do this and just instantly get Ursa Den online, and then immediately go into the new champion Majorsa, threaten to pop some things. And like the cost of doing that is so much lower than it was previously. It requires so much less specific combos to get that off. Like it's super good, and you draw a card in the process. And like even if you don't have Ursa Den out, or you're not on an Ursa Den build, you still get to go, okay, this is a pseudo ambrosia that draws me a card. That's really good. That's upstart because it's free. It's less than free. It's so good. It's such a good reward for being in on this archetype. And that's like the sort of thing you really want to do if you want to get people off of good stuff's piles. You want to present them with these massive rewards for being in on an archetype. And this is such a good way of doing that. Very impressed with this card's design. Really understanding the assignment of what this set needs to be doing. Great stuff. Yeah, wow, I love this card. This card's so good. This card's so good, man. Also, I wonder if we're going to get a Glaciursa, Champion of Kion, for another good option to go into off Ursa Den. Not a big deal if we don't, but like it's something to think about. Yeah, this bear stuff is looking really nice. Champion Majorsa is super good. This new Hibernation card, really fantastic. We still have another Hestia card to go, but Torch of Hestia is really nice and starts like making more of the case to me of running Hestia in bears, because the prospect of going, okay, Torch of Hestia is another way of getting my bears up to my 1-cost bears up to reasonable numbers. They swing in, like the prospect of going like Ursier, I think it's called, the Viscerous bear. The prospect of going Ursier, like Torch of Hestia onto it, swing in for now 5 attack, 6 attack if you have the Ursa Den out. Not even needing the Dome Poke to get over and going like, okay, I don't know, check top 3, be able to grab any of my Fire Bears or my Ursa Dens or my Dome Poke, and then also when it beats over, cast out something, get whatever benefit from that. Like really nice stuff. Like the Ursa Den stuff feels so much more viable now because we have a good card to go into and really good enablers for getting Ursa Den online to begin with. Just really fantastic stuff. Really happy with this bear stuff. Great stuff. Yeah. That's all I have to say on that. It's just really nice. This set is off to a fantastic start. Really excited to see where it goes from here. One other thing I want to touch on. I want to ask you, the audience, a question. So, like we've seen for Hermes already, the Spy Nymph that searches for Hermes. Very obviously, by the nature of these decks and the trend we've started seeing in the past couple sets, like I think it's a pretty safe assumption that every single one of these champion archetypes is going to get a card that searches their divine, right? So the question I have for all of you, and like I would assume that card is going to be in the starter decks. So my question, because like Spine is here, so of course others are going to be here too. So my question to you is, which one do you think it's going to be? So like for Zeus, the options are Vulgaris and Titanostrike can be that one. My personal guess would be Titanostrike, Thunder theme, like Thunderbolt theming and all that. For Hestia, it's between Warmight and Torchin. We've already seen in Ferrix, and I think Torchin feels pretty likely. Because it has the whole holding the torch thing and the Torch of Hestia and all that stuff. And then Poseidon, we have Veritaqua and Galaxy as the options. I think between those two, it's probably Veritaqua, because Galaxy is like it would be crazy to go. Yeah, Galaxy is a Poseidon searcher. It's not the fighting whale. It's just a Poseidon searcher. It's just an auto check. Like that would feel real goofy. That would feel really goofy. But we'll see. We will see how this all turns out. With that said, this is going to be Hunter Search signing off.